guys, how are you? Welcome back to another video, and today I actually have a topic that I want to talk about, so I have to get focused. It's so hot right now. I'm sitting directly in front of sunlight. So in this video, we are going to be talking about how to keep the Sabbath holy. When God first revealed the Sabbath to me, I was like, okay, I really just want a clear explanation, a step-by-step thing that can show me what is the Sabbath and how to keep it. I mean, there are videos like that on YouTube, but I didn't know that at the time, so I thought I would make one for you guys as well. I won't get into what day it is in this video, but this video is for people who have just found out about it and are wondering what to do on this day, so may God bless your journey. Okay, but before we get into those 3 key steps on how to keep the Sabbath holy, I have to go through some of these verses, but if you have already studied the Sabbath and you know the purpose of it, you can, if you want, just skip through this part. I'm just going to be reading verses that are crucial to know before we get into the 3 things. This is Exodus 20, verse 8 to 11. It says, "Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that it in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it." Okay, so I just want to point out that the Sabbath is not for the Jews only. We can see here it is for everyone, and it is the Lord's day. It is our God's day. It is not the day of the Jews. We see that not only those people had to keep it, but everyone that was within their gates, whether they be Jews or whatever they were, whoever they were, they had to keep it as well. And if we are all in God's family, I really do believe that we should be keeping this day holy and resting on it. And that leads into our next verse. Mark 2 verse 27 says, "And he said to them, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath." So God made this a day for us to spiritually recharge. After working a hard 6 days and we're out in the world and we're dwelling among wolves and darkness, he made this day so that we can just go and be with him and just be refreshed, basically, spiritually, and also to spend time with him, because God sanctified it and hallowed it, which means set apart. So yes, we should worship him and spend time with him every single day, but this day specifically he set apart and made it special and blessed. Next verse, Leviticus 23 verse 3 says, "6 days shall the work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings." This one kind of scares me, to be honest, and makes me feel kind of scared. But anyways, Isaiah 58 verse 13 and 14 says, "If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking thine own words, then shalt thou delight thyself in the Lord, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of the Lord hath spoken it." Okay, never mind. It's not so scary now that I read it again. Maybe it was a little bit intimidating at first, but I think I was getting it confused between 2 other verses. So the 2 main things that are clear and written all over the Bible. Number 1, do not cause others to work, and us ourselves should not work. Number 2 is do not cook or do our regular routine. So that is why there is a day of preparation where we can run all our errands and make the meals ahead of time. Okay, hold on. I know it can be scary at first, but we're going to break this down together. So let me read you verses to back up my point. So for number 1, where it says do not work, we can read that in Exodus 20 verse 9 and 10, which we already read. So it says, "6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter," etc. And then for point number 2, which says do not cook and all that kind of stuff, Exodus 35 verse 3 says, "Ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day." And God is not talking about don't light a fire and freeze. So he's not talking about it for heat wise. He is referring to it as cooking meals, because that's how they cooked back then, was with fire, because they didn't have ovens. And I have another verse to back that up as well. But first let's talk about a verse that just kind of proves that there is a preparation day, and God does want us to prepare a day ahead of time and not do it on the actual Sabbath day so we can rest. Does that make sense? Okay, so Mark 15 verse 42, Mark chapter 15 verse verse 42. Oh my goodness. Okay. It says, "And now when the even was come, because it was the preparation, that is, the day before the Sabbath." So that verse was after Jesus was crucified. So now let's move on to the most beautiful verses. I honestly love them so much. It's kind of where God teaches us how to keep the Sabbath and to learn how to trust and obey Him. So this goes back to the kindling the fire, don't kindle the fire verse. Basically it's meaning do not prepare meals on the Sabbath. Like, it's more the preparation process. So if you wanted to microwave your meal, I don't think that's a bad thing, but just don't be like cutting vegetables and cooking meat and all that kind of stuff. Okay, let's just get right into the verse because clearly I'm very slow to speech right now or something. So this is, oops, wrong way. Exodus 16 verse 18 to 28. Okay, so Exodus 16 verse 18 to 28, this is about manna. "And when they did meet it with an omer, he that gathered much had nothing over, and he that gathered little had no lack. They gathered every man according to his eating. And Moses said, Let no man leave of it till the morning. Notwithstanding, they hearkened not unto Moses, but some of them left it until the morning, and it bred worms and stank. And Moses was sorry. Sorry, guys. And Moses was wroth with them, and they gathered it every morning, every man according to his eating. And when the sun waxed hot, it melted. And it came to pass that on the 6th day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for one man. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. And he said unto them, This is that which the Lord hath said, Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath unto the Lord. Bake that which ye will bake today, and seethe that ye will seethe. And that which remaineth over lay up for you to be kept until the morning. And they laid it up till the morning, as Moses bade, and it did not stink, neither was there any worm therein. And Moses said, Eat that today, for tomorrow is a Sabbath unto the Lord. Today ye shall not find it in the field. 6 days ye shall gather it, but on the 7th day, which is the Sabbath, in it there shall be none. And it came to pass that there went some of the people on the 7th day for to gather, and they found none. And the Lord said unto Moses, How long refuse ye to keep my commandments and my laws? These verses explain it perfectly, but you really have to read it for yourself in order for it to make sense and really sink in and for God to reveal it to you. So let's sort of break this down. We can see that God is really trying to show us how to keep the Sabbath, and He's really looking out for us, and He's just kind of saying, like, guys, like, how long will you refuse to keep my commandments? I think that is so powerful. So let's start from the beginning. So every day they had to collect what was the right portion for them that day. But some people tried to, I guess, disobey it and say, no, I don't trust you, God. I don't believe that you're going to bring me some tomorrow, so I'm going to gather extra so I can have some for tomorrow. God said that He would provide for them daily, that each day they just had to take the right portion, the right amount, enough for them for that day. But some decided that they don't trust God and they took extra. So the next day, they wake up to a surprise that it stinks and has worms in it. So God's just saying, like, you should have trusted me. It wouldn't be good the next day. Another huge lesson here is that God provides. He really does. And He just wants us to trust Him and not to worry. That's what also Jesus taught a lot in the New Testament. So it came to pass that on the 6th day they gathered twice as much bread. And then the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. But Moses said, that is okay, because tomorrow is the Sabbath day. So God, that just shows the preparation day, and that's when it says, bake what you shall bake today and seethe what you shall seethe today. Because on the 7th day, the Sabbath, God was not going to send manna for them to collect. So it was good that they gathered twice amount on the 6th day in order to prepare for the Sabbath. At this point, they really had to put their trust in God, because from day 1 to day 5, they had to collect the right amount just for them, enough for that day, and then the next morning if they had extra, it would be spoiled. So they really had to put their trust in Him. But some still went out on the Sabbath to collect some, but there was none. So that's when God said, how long will you refuse to keep my commandments and my laws? So I guess in conclusion of all of this, what I'm trying to say is, this just kind of backs up that God does not want us to prepare our meals on the Sabbath day. He rather us prepare it the day before. So there is a third one. I just wanted to tell you guys the most basic ones because there is a lot of man-made tradition or things that got made up over the years that aren't technically in the Bible. So these three are the main key ones that I really want us to focus on when it comes to keeping the Sabbath holy. Okay, so this is the third one, and I honestly had to look it up just because I wasn't sure if this was in the Bible, but all three of these are all biblical. I had to look up another pronunciation again on YouTube, and I was way off. So the book of Nehemiah, I'm gonna just pronounce it as they did just in case so you guys don't laugh at me, but Nehemiah 10 verse 31 says, "And if the people of the land bring ware or any victuals on the Sabbath day to sell, that we would not buy it of them on the Sabbath or on the holy day." And then the rest, I don't really know what it means. Yeah, I think I'll make a separate video about this, but I want to add it in quickly for an example. So, for example, if you are going out to eat on the Sabbath, that is probably not very holy to do on it because, number one, you are causing other people to work. And we read that not your servant or your son or anyone dwelling in your gates should not work. You should not cause them to work. So what makes it okay if they're cooking for you and yet you're paying them and you're buying something? So all around, it's just not really right if you're making them work for you on the Sabbath. So in a total conclusion of all of this, I really want you guys to know, listen to your convictions. Don't keep the Sabbath just because I'm telling you to. Just follow God's guidance. Maybe He hasn't taught you about the Sabbath yet because it's not the right season in your life, and God sees what's fit for all of us. So don't listen to me just because I'm just putting this out here for those who are getting convicted and just learned about the Sabbath. So the Sabbath day is holy and sanctified from the beginning of creation. And we can find that in Genesis 2, verse 2 and 3. It is in the 10 Commandments. So that is enough to make us think, okay, maybe I should start looking into this, or I should actually take it seriously because it is there for a reason, and God told us to remember to keep the Sabbath holy for a reason. He said, remember it for a reason. It is not meant to be a burden to us, but rather a blessing. Like we talked about a little bit earlier in this video, it is to refresh after a long, hard week of work, and it can also teach us a lot of discipline. Just for one day to push aside our fleshly desires to really spend time with our Lord. Ooh, one last thing before we go. It is lawful to do good on the Sabbath. Jesus tells us that in Mark 3 verse 4 and Matthew 12 verse 12. So that is a whole nother topic. I'm trying to keep this video short, but I hope this really could help you guys. I love you all so much, and God bless you. Have a great day. I will see you guys in the next video.